I know I've always told you guys that it's all about the papers. And though it is, I think I should try something a bit different this week. I feel we need a bit of, a mystic touch, I think. I've got a deck of tarot cards here. Oh, yes, tarot cards. Yeah, you guys didn't think I got down with this stuff, but I did. You see, the beauty of these things is you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between tarot cards and playing cards. Theater of the mind, my friend. But are they tarot cards? Maybe we'll never know. So I'm going to shuffle these things, and I'm going to lay out several cards. All right, 4 to be exact. So the first card that I'm going to flip is the card of stupidity. Stupidity. Now, what comes to mind when it comes to stupidity in fantasy that I've mentioned quite a few times this season? Well, it's playing around with your quarterbacks and being cute. Did Andy commit this error once again? No. Andy did not commit this error, and I'll get to Andy a little bit later. Paul did it this time. In week 11, Paul decided to start Derek Carr. Derek Carr, who by all accounts has been having a pretty decent season. He's a 9th ranked fantasy quarterback. You know, he's put up a lot of 20-something performances. But what Paul simply did was he tried to play the matchups. AKA, he tried to get cute. Because as I said, it's you're always trying to be cute when you're trying to play matchups with quarterbacks. It's a quarterback, just play him, shut the fuck up, be a man. Don't get so caught up in options and, all the possible matchups. Just fucking go with something. This shit is all chance. Just pick a goddamn quarterback and get in there. Paul did commit a similar sin to Andy's. Because you see, Paul drafted Russell Wilson, who has not been having a great season. Russell Wilson is the 12th ranked quarterback. I do believe by the end of the season he will be a top 10 quarterback. But he hasn't had the best season. He's got a lot of teen performances. But this week, Russell put up a 25 against the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Derek Carr put up a 6. Okay? Now, had Paul played his quarterback, whom he picked in the 4th round, and as I said, if he's not performing like he's supposed to perform, you do not just drop him. You shop him around a bit. Now, I understand that Russell Wilson is not somebody that we're all going to, we're not all going to jump at that deal, but I'm pretty sure Paul didn't ship him around before putting him on the bench. He didn't try to get that value back. You know what I'm saying? It's a little tug of war. He didn't try to get the value back. He just totally 86'd him and put him on the bench. So he paid the price. Because he lost by a final score of 72-63. Well, obviously, the difference from 25 to 6 would have gotten Paul over the hump. Now, what would this have done? Well, obviously, Paul would have gotten a victory. The big man, Ed, would have lost. And this is the stupidity that I keep commenting about. And that you guys, I'm pretty sure Paul doesn't listen to this. But this is an ongoing theme here. And Paul's made the biggest error here that anyone has ever made in this season so far. Because he's got not 1, not 2, but 3 quarterbacks. Tell me what the fuck is the point of having Blake Bortles on your bench? What is the point? Blake Bortles has 2 outstanding wide receivers. who have been doing very good this year. I know Hearns and Robinson are, both of them are like top 12 wide receivers. So he's feeding them the rock, and I understand that. But what the fuck is the point of keeping Blake Bortles on your bench? So Paul lost. He is indeed the representative of the stupidity card. Let's shuffle these things around again and see what we come up with. Okay? All right. Ah, yes. The death card. Doomsday. Andy is officially eliminated from playoff contention. And so is Eric. But I've already spoken about Eric, and it's pretty obvious why Eric just fucking, why Eric just isn't shit. Gonna sound like a broken record. Andy's out of the playoffs, and he wouldn't have been out of the playoffs if he wouldn't have done all that dumb shit. He's completely out of it. Had Andy done those moves that I've mentioned before, and I'm not going to mention them, Andy would have had a record of 5-6. Orlando would have had a record of 5-6. J. Ray would have had a record of 4-7. Okay? Andy would have also had more points than J. Ray. So look at the position that Andy would have been in had he just simply went with the staff that he had originally chosen. And by staff, I simply mean one person. You see what I'm doing here, folks? I'm not just getting behind this mic and just yelling at you for no reason. There's some truth to this. Andy has this no trade policy that I think he does to be cute more than anything else. And in recent years, though he made it to the fantasy championship just last year, I don't know how the fuck that happened, Andy has gone down with a sinking ship. What's worse about this season is that Andy wasn't on a sinking ship. Andy's team was actually pretty decent, except he didn't give them a chance to perform. Antonio Brown suffered because of the injury to Ben Roethlisberger. He did suffer because of Vincent Jackson's injury. But his team was still pretty solid. I mean, he's fucking got Mark Ingram, who he's been just tearing up this fucking league. And don't tell me injuries should keep you out of the playoffs, because that's bullshit. Because if I can compliment myself for a second, and even if I could compliment Ed, who also had a big injury, and his team hasn't really suffered from it. Let me see if I can dig here. I'm more than sure that Ed had a really big injury here. Okay, his really big injury was Le'Veon Bell. Okay? Le'Veon Bell. One of the top fantasy running backs. But you simply make adjustments and you pick up people like Todd Gurley and you can make up for it. But on the even greater scale of recovery was Team Bundy. Sorry, Ed. I lost Arian Foster. And for the past 3 weeks, I haven't had Matt Forte. I haven't lost since. I've lost once since I lost Arian Foster. And that was just a week when Pedro fucking got 130 points. I probably would have fucking beat him no matter what. Arian Foster could have played and gotten 30 points, and it still wouldn't have happened. Because I picked up Charcandrick West. And for the time being, Jeremy Langford did what he needed to do. So you can't even use that as an excuse with Andy. But his team wasn't a sinking ship. Andy just honestly mismanaged his team. And that's a shame because it pains me. I wanted nothing more than Andy to be the victor of this fantasy season. Andy, I believe, has made it to the most fantasy championships it's got to be like around 3 or something appearances like that. He's like the fucking Buffalo Bills. He just can't figure it out. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with Andy. All right, we're gonna move on to the next card. All right. The panic card. This is an interesting one. We've got two teams who are in a panic in two different positions, but they're in a panic nonetheless. We've got Senior Paul and we've got Ed. Now, Ed faces me this week. Ed and I are both 8-3. I'm at the top of the division because I have more points. Oh, yes, Ed, I have more points. But if Ed so happens to lose to me this week, I am at the advantage that the following week I will face Paul and Ed will face Hensel. Now, there's a very big difference in facing Paul and Hensel, even though their records are just a game apart. Hensel's team is better. His squad is better. Hensel has 86 more points than Paul this season. Now, Paul is in panic mode as well because he faces me next week and he's facing J. Ray this week in a very pivotal game. They're both 5-6, so they're fighting for their playoff lives, while Ed is just simply playing to win the division. We both clinched. Now he's fighting for his playoff life, and if he just so happens to lose to J. Ray this week, he faces me. And I don't say that to be braggadocious. I mean, when you look at the papers, I am statistically the last fucking team that you would want to face if your season is on the line. Statistically. And in terms of fucking fantasy history, the baddest motherfucker that you've ever seen in this motherfucking league. So if Paul wants to get into the playoffs, his best bet is to defeat J-Ray. And if Ed would like to win the division, he better win this game. Because I've got a very easy matchup the next week, and he doesn't have an easy one in Hensel. So teams going in sort of different directions, but they're in panic mode nonetheless. Of course, this would have been very different for Paul had he just started Russell Wilson, which he picked in... When did he pick him, Andy? In the 4th round! Had he just started him, he would have been over J-Ray. And I also haven't mentioned that Paul has more points than J-Ray this season. So this would have totally put Paul's destiny into his own hands. And now, he's going to have to fight for his motherfucking life. Oh, we're going to move ahead. Okay? There's only one more card left, and this is the pretty obvious card. This is the prediction card. Okay? Now, last week, I was 2 for 2. Terrible, terrible week. That puts me at 14-20 for the season. Now, my week 12 predictions are going to be a little different. Well, in the sense that I'll explain one matchup. And that's the matchup that I think it's very important, and that's Paul against J-Ray. The rest of the other matchups, it doesn't matter. Look, I won't explain the other ones. I'll just run through them, okay? Give me Dro over Andy. Give me Hensel over Eric. And give me Joe over his brother, the Commish. Yes, I said it, Commish. I fucking said it. You're going to lose. Now, this matchup between Paul and J-Ray is going to be a real interesting one because J-Ray's got 2 questionable players, 2 key players, Alshon Jeffrey and Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant plays at 4:30 Thanksgiving Day. Okay? Alshon Jeffrey plays at 8:30 Thanksgiving Day. Now, I don't know the severity of these injuries. Alshon was out last week, and J. Ray left him in the lineup. I don't know when he was officially listed as out, so I can't criticize Jay on that. But I would assume that it was right before kickoff. I'll give J. Ray some credit. Now, because of this reason, I believe that Paul is going to pull off the victory. But Paul's got to be smart here. He's still got Derek Carr in his lineup. If I told you that if you started Derek Carr against the Tennessee Titans and he ended up getting 10 points, would you be surprised? Would you be shocked? Probably not. So that should be a good indicator on what you should do. Now, if I told you that with Marshawn Lynch out, Russell Wilson has a weapon in the backfield whom he can throw to, would you be shocked if he got 21 points? You wouldn't be shocked at all. Because, of course, Russell Wilson also has his fucking legs. So you got to be really smart here. But still, I think he's going to pull it off. J. Ray has suffered some terrible victories over the last 2 weeks. I mean, J. Ray is, I'm not even surprised if J. Ray's last 2 weeks total over 100. J. Ray lost to Dro in week 10, 49-91, and then he lost 50, but they've been 100 points in total over the last 2 weeks. That's terrible. That's terrible. I don't think he's going to continue that trend necessarily. I mean, if he's got Dez going and, you know, the more time that Dez and Romo get under their belts, the more they're going to click once again. But I still think that Paul's going to come up with the victory, which is going to make the last week of the season very, very fucking interesting. So give me Paul over J. Ray and lock it in. I'm very confident in my other picks, so I think I should be 4. You know, I think I should be 4-0 for this week. You know what I'm saying? You know, give me Paul over Jay, give me Dro over Andy, give me Hensel over Eric, and give me Joe over the commish. Also, give me some chicken over rice while you're at it. Okay? Ed, we face each other this week. This is what you want. You want back and forth banter. You want all this. Let me explain something to you, my friend. You haven't been in this league for many years, okay? And I don't know if you can look back at the history of this league. But let me explain something to you. This may be the Super Bowl of your fantasy career because from the looks of it, if you've gone 9-0 in any league, I would seriously question the pool of talent that you're dealing with in that other league. I will totally dismiss them as shitty because I'm not being an asshole when I say this, Ed. You're not a good fantasy owner. You're not. Well, you can posture on fucking camera all you want, but you still make the same stupid mistakes that you always used to do. Case in point, picking up Wes Welker. That is an absolute Ed thing to do and totally predictable. Something that you would have done back in 2008. You pick up a guy who's been proven to be in the winter of his career, but simply because he has a name, you pick him up and you put him on the bench and you hoard him like it's going to do your team a favor. It's not. It's over with Wes Welker. Just drop him. You see, these are the kind of moves that you make. Now, it's not going to dead your season, but it's not going to help. It's unnecessary. You make a lot of unnecessary moves, my friend. So let me explain something to you. J. Ray and I have played each other in the championship twice, okay? I won the first time. That was my second championship. I beat Orlando, my first championship, okay? Now, the second time, J. Ray defeated me. This little matchup that you're anticipating is very low stake, my friend. This is nothing. This is what you're playing for? Let me get this straight. Is this what you're playing for? You said that if I defeated you, then, this would mean something. If I defeated you, it would mean nothing, Ed. It would mean nothing. It would mean beating Ed. That's what it would mean. Beating Ed in week 12, it means nothing to me. This would mean something to you. As I said, winning the division isn't a big deal, but of course I'm not going to shy away from it if that's the position that my team has put me in. But beating you, dude, you lost earlier in the season, all right? It would be 1-1 if you won. I'd be 2-0. It doesn't matter. It doesn't crown me champion if I beat you. It doesn't matter. So just relax, hold still while I kick you in the fucking head. Okay? Just fucking relax and hold still while I punch your fucking team in their fucking chest, all right? But it means absolutely nothing, all right? We're both in the playoffs, just in case you don't get that. Just in case you don't get that. We're both in the playoffs, so it literally doesn't really mean anything what happens. Okay? And you could have given Gronk's highest point total, I checked, was 27. 27 points was the highest he scored. He scored it in week 1. Go ahead, check the fucking papers, Ed. If you would have given Gronk his 27 points and you would have played him that week, you still would have lost week 4, dude. You don't get it, do you? It's not coming through to your head. It's not coming through to your head. It doesn't matter that last week I explained the whole thing to you. I ran it down very simply, and I told you that if we played each other every week of this season, I'd still have a winning record. It doesn't matter. You wouldn't have a winning record. So that's something that you don't want. You want to avoid me. Statistically, I am the last team that you would want to face. So you can act like this is something that you want, but you really don't. And you know why you really don't? Because that little conversation that you had with the fantasy god, that little conversation was very telling. You jumping up on the mic, the minute that you got ahead in the division, it was all very telling. It was very telling. Because again, Ed, it lets us know what you feel like you deserve. And if you feel like you deserve a victory over me in week 12 to jump ahead of me in the statistics and then to face a tougher team next week so I can only then go and win. Let's say you beat me by 12 points. I'd still be ahead of you in the points. And then I come next week and I win. And you end up losing, and then what happens? I win the division, and you get into the playoffs still. Who fucking gives a shit? And we'd be split in the league 1-1. So you're letting us know what you feel like you deserve. You're getting very excited about something that's very low stake. You, sir, are revealing that you don't have the heart of a fantasy champion. And that's why you don't deserve it. Happy holidays. Go fuck yourselves.